screen. All right. So hello and welcome everyone to TomoClub. TomoClub is a social emotional learning curriculum that is based out of the entire idea of game-based learning and providing game-based learning to kids from grades 3 to grades 12, right? And through games, we empower kids to become better leaders and emotionally intelligent innovators and better citizens for the future. Right, so that's a short glimpse into what TomoClub is and what we do. Our entire system is a cohort-based system where kids of different grade groups come together and they play multiplayer co-op games, and they learn with a moderator present there who helps them debrief all that they're doing and helps them apply it back to their real life. Right? So allow me to share my screen before I introduce everyone else here. Allow me to share my screen to walk you through a short glimpse into what TomoClub, the idea of TomoClub is. Give me a minute, and you should be able to see my screen and hear the sound as well. Can you hear it?
The world can be a challenging place, and for many students, navigating it can be overwhelming. Low self-confidence, a sense of not belonging, rising mental health concerns, and even suicidal incidents are just some of the issues affecting our youth today.
Traditional social emotional learning curriculums are falling short in addressing these concerns, with limited engagement and poor learning retention. But what if learning these skills could be fun and engaging, like playing a game? Introducing TomoClub, a game-based SEL curriculum that transforms education. Each class becomes an immersive multiplayer game session where students learn essential leadership, collaborative problem solving, and emotional intelligence skills.
Educators have full control over the game session and can easily set it up for the class. The program is aligned with CASEL framework, proper compliant, making it suitable for students in grades 3 through 12. And after each game session, educators receive a personalized snapshot of each child's problem. TomoClub's game-based approach provides the most engaging, interactive learning experience for students who are.
TomoClub is transforming social emotional learning classrooms across the nation. We've been receiving great efficacy reports of our program with 95% student retention, tremendous improvement in classroom behavior and mental well-being, which in turn improves academic outcomes. Unlock the future for your students. Contact us today to experience the most engaging SEL curriculum ever created.
All right. So that was a bit about TomoClub and the advent of TomoClub and why TomoClub exists right now. So I'm directly going to give the stage to and hand over the mic to our SEL ambassador for today, Adina. And yeah, with her years of experience and the immense work that she's done in the field of SEL and the work that she's done for kids, and with her expertise of psychology and education, and as a theater expert, I think the stage is all yours now, Adina. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chelsea. I appreciate it. A couple of things. One, an apology, except for now. I don't like looking directly in the camera. I know that I'm looking at you. I really much prefer to look at faces. So just know that I really am looking at you, but this way I can see you and respond back and forth. And I want to welcome any questions. I will save time for them at the end, but at any point, just stop me. I'd love you to interact. If you're not on the video, if you can, get your camera on, that would be phenomenal. But if you can't, if you can respond to things with emojis and that kind of thing. And I also apologize if words and mouths don't connect. It's Thursday, and by then my brain is not completely connected to my mouth. So thank you for inviting me to speak. First thing I'd like to share is something personal. If you'll indulge me, I'd like to share a recent journal entry. perfect day. Everything is going just the way I like. I am completely calm and confident. Right here, house looking immaculate before I walk out the door. Kids made their own lunches and offered to walk the dog. My students were enraptured by my math lesson and asked to continue the class through recess. As if, okay, this is more the reality. I so know that I'm going to embarrass myself with this webinar. Expert and emotional intelligent, my Aunt Fanny. I'm going to be a stuttering, sweating sham who will laugh off the meat. It's going to be awful. Thank you, Lord. I still have one Twix bar left. Oh, great. Then I'll be stressed and bloated. Okay, so, and thank you for your laugh, man. I appreciate that. So we are all just trying to live our lives, navigate our journeys the best way we possibly can, with all the joys and struggles that entails, getting our needs met. And we do what we do, and sometimes it doesn't get us what we need. Sometimes it even gets us the opposite of what we need, but it's all we know how to do. Raise your hand or nod if you've ever done something and a second later you wish you could have gone in reverse and undid what you just did. Yeah. And if that's the case for us, it's certainly going to be the case. Thank you, Christina. It's certainly going to be the case for young people who have even less experience and understanding than we do. I know I have, I mean, the time when I yelled at my kids because they were yelling at each other, like that was really going to help. Or most, oh, thank you, Katie. Or most of the times that I tried to self-medicate with chocolate, which just happened yesterday. I was actually preparing for this with chocolate imbibing. So I have spent my entire varied pieces of career seeking the best way to help us all navigate our lives and help the people that we work with, especially young people, navigate their lives the best way we can. I love what you were saying before we got on. I'm not sure it was Avinash or Chelsea was talking about how, I think it was Avinash, that educators are really beginning to understand all the multiple benefits of SEL. And I'm so glad that you, Katie, and Christina are spreading the message as well, both personally and academically. So I would love to share some of the guideposts and some of the tools that I found along the way. So my first exploration was to answer the question of why. Why do we do the things that we do? So, as I said, we're in pursuit of trying to get our needs met. Often that has something to do at the very end of that need is, I want to feel better. I want to feel good. And I want to get rid of things that don't feel as good. And I realized that we're always making choices about how we feel, how we think, how we act all the time, but we are rarely, if ever, aware that we're making those choices. You've made hundreds of choices already today. What to wear, whether to come here, whether to have that donut or that Atkins shake to eat, whether you're focusing on the things that are going well or ruminating over the things that you wish had gone better. And knowing that as educators, it's helpful because it often can look like, this student is making this choice consciously and they're misbehaving. And that's when it's really a misguided attempt at trying to get their needs met. So I thought, okay, great, I've got this. Awareness of our choices, that's going to lead to making better ones. Wouldn't it be great if I could just tell myself or the students that I work with, do this, not that. And that would make, and that would help. Raise your hand if you've had more than one occasion where that didn't work, where just offering the choice didn't make a difference. You were still making the same choices. The kids were still making the same choices, right? Just saying it is not enough. That led me to a deeper search. Okay, so what is the fuel? What is what is underneath it that's making these things, that's leading to our choices? And what I realized ultimately, that in order to change the choice, we have to change the operating system leading to that choice. And ultimately it became very clear to me that that is our core beliefs, the assumptions, what we have put together when we're very, very little about how to navigate our world, about how the world works. Now, we were little, we didn't have all the information, we didn't have a lot of experience, So they're filled with all kinds of layers of logic, which I'll get to in a moment, and they affect everything from how we feel, how we handle our feelings, how we feel about ourselves, if we feel good or bad about ourselves, how we handle and what we think about and how we handle relationships. And I'll give you a couple of personal examples. So my parents never argued. If my dad was going to cry, he would go into, we had this yellow chair that I can still see in the living room, because I would sing and my brother would play piano. And we on purpose sing songs that would get to him. So he'd have his hand over his eyes like this and not let us see that he was crying. So I went, okay, so expressing feelings is probably not a good or a safe thing. Ironic that I ended up in emotional intelligence work, or perhaps not. I had wonderful supportive parents. I could spit on a piece of paper and they go, beautiful art, honey. And I wasn't that dumb. I'm like, no, it's really not. So I went, okay, I've got to be perfect because the shoe's gonna drop and people are gonna know that are not my parents. They're gonna know that I'm not as good as they think I am. So that led to that. So I would like to know, with a show of hands if you can, or nods of your head, if some of these assumptions are relatable. Now, what I want to say to begin with is that I want you to get out of your logical brain. Your logical brain will say, no, of course it doesn't make sense. But really think about, is that in my most vulnerable place, is that where my gut is? Okay, so the first one, and this is one that I've had to work with for many years, raise your hand if you ever believe even a little bit, or if you have students or if you know other folks that have believed this, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Raise your hand or nod your head. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. How about it's awful when things don't go my way. Thank you. I've got to be perfect, cannot make mistakes. I've got to go along to get along. I'm looking at leadership type people, so that does not surprise me. How about my way or the highway? And it's okay, right? Okay. So so again, it's not just the information. See, the information very often, and I know this is not the case in your program, so I think this is where we absolutely dovetail. It's not sufficient just to provide information unless you're getting at what is feeding and leading to that information. So this work started, I mean, I'm going to age myself, but in the whole, in 80s, the Just Say No campaign to drugs. I was always just say, huh? Because I can teach people to say no in 15 different languages. But if I assume everybody has to like me or I'm not good enough, and if I don't help somebody undo and change that, it doesn't make a difference what they understand. They're not going to be able to apply that information. So the core of what I came to is helping people edit those assumptions, edit the illogic. And there are multiple errors in logic that lead to them, the kind of categories of those. So the first is, I'm sure you've heard about it. I call it awfulizing. I think it's easier for kids to understand. I'm sure you've heard it as catastrophizing. Catastrophe, right? And hi, the new person. I'm sorry, I can't go back and tell you everything that I've said, but I'll be happy to later alone. I probably could, but you know, I think it'll bore them, but I will fill you in later. I'm talking about the assumptions that lead to the choices that we make. So awfulizing. So believing something is worse than it is. Okay. Crystal balling, the erroneous belief that we can accurately predict the future. I know this is going to happen. Okay. And then generalizing, which is very much about stretching the truth to include way more than is appropriate or accurate. So using words like everything, always, none of the time, nobody, must. Cognitive distortions, 100%. Yes, and I would have used those terms if I knew who I was talking to. Absolutely. So it's trying to go from those cognitive distortions, go from the all or nothing thinking to shades of gray. Because if I believe, for example, that I am, I for sure am going to flunk that test, I can't go from there to you're going to do great. Because you have to slowly take somebody from that all or nothing to shades of gray. So is it possible that you might get one right? Okay, yeah. Is it possible that you might get a couple? So going from, okay, so let's talk about how to do that using my assumption that I shared when I came in. Thank you so much, Adina. Can I have you with me always? So when I'm speaking, it gets written and sent to people, because that would help me so much. I may have to hire you to do that. So I said, I'm going to absolutely be a sham. It's going to be awful. They're not going to like a thing that I have to say. So yeah, I'm going to. Okay, so it's not about saying no. My husband was like, no, honey, you're going to do great. Okay, I might not believe that, but I can take myself to shades of gray. So is it possible that I may not be a total sham? Or thought of as that? Is it possible that I might do okay? Is it possible I might do well? It's possible I might even do very well. So expanding the range of possibilities. Okay, awfulizing. Is it possible? Yes, would I not like it if someone said, oh, that, that Adina, I guess, she knew some things, but I knew all that, or she didn't quite get that point. Would I be disappointed? Yeah, I'd like to provide people with usable information, but would it be awful? I'd be disappointed, but it wouldn't be awful. So trying to get to that, I can feel negatively about something, but I don't have to be, oh my goodness. And then again, within that is generalizing, right? Not every single thing, one thing. Yes, maybe I'll make a mistake. Maybe I'll slip up. Maybe I'll forget something, but every single thing is not going to be awful. So we can take that understanding, and even if we're not doing anything curricularly, even in our conversations with young people and frankly with adults as well, it's helpful to have that understanding, first of all, that choices are based on needs and that they're based on assumptions. So if rather than going to do this instead or change this behavior, if a young person knows that, wow, they understand that I'm doing it because I need something, they feel understood, there's an empathy there, and then you can help give them the tools to, on their own, to change, to pause, and we'll talk about how to do that later, to pause and change their assumptions so they can make different decisions. Thank you, so it's really, it's about incremental understanding and incremental change. And so in conversations, you can have, like if someone comes, I'm going to flunk that test again. You can say, oh, you feel like you're not going to get a single thing right, even with all the, and you can also kind of do it paradoxically, even with all the studying that you've done and how smart, of course, we know that you are, you're not going to get a single thing right, of course. Well, I don't know. Well, do you think maybe you can get one right? Well, yeah. Do you think maybe a couple? And then it's also about worst case scenario, because I've heard say, I'm not going to pass third grade, and I'm not going to pass school, and I'm not going to get into college, and I'm going to be a bum on the street, right? We kind of like do that with our with our minds too. The worst case scenario too. You may have to take the test, and would you not like it? No, but it wouldn't be the worst possible thing in the entire world to have to do that. So having the conversations also gives the young person tools to be able to do those things ultimately on their own, not only when you're there to tell them, this road, not this road. So in doing that, you could help them, first of all, change their language to reflect shades of gray, and also to help them look for evidence to support more thoughtful, truthful beliefs. So instead of something like, don't worry, you can help them change. If something seems scary, it must be awful, to if something seems scary, it might be okay. And look for and share evidence of when that happened. Raise your hand, and if you're willing to share, that would be helpful also, of an incident when you were certain this thing was going to be, you were going to suck. This thing was going to be terrible, and it didn't turn out that way. Can anybody share like a brief example of that kind of a moment when you thought it's not going to be good at all, and it was okay?
I can, Katie.
Thank you.
I was really nervous to do the workshop on Saturday with Christina, and I was like catastrophized, like just like you were talking about earlier, and like just thinking of like the worst case scenario. I was like, oh my goodness, like it's not going to work out. We had internet issues, but then it all ended up working out, and in the end, none of those things happened, and we were able to get through it, and we practiced mindfulness and just the social emotional learning techniques that you're talking about and that your company does. And we were like, oh my gosh, we're like teaching it, but we need to practice it more because it all worked out and we're good. But yeah, definitely everything you're saying is completely relatable, and social emotional skills and having them to just like stop and think and just breathe for a second and realize it's going to be okay, usually most of the time. But thank you for letting me share.
Oh, no, thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And that really makes such a difference when we do that for young people. And when we're honest and saying, hey, I'm struggling with this, 65 years later, still trying to work with those skills. And I think, as you probably know, we teach best what we need most to learn ourselves. So I completely, appreciate your openness for that. So, it's all anger, for example. It's not about, just, calm down, don't be angry. It's about, okay, we have choices within that, right? Everything that, so you can change. It's awful when things don't go my way, to, I don't like it when some things go my way. It's okay not to like something, but how angry are you going to get? And taking a look at the choices we have within that. I talk about letting go and how we do that, and what things are important enough. I talk about anger being, it takes energy to be angry. We're putting our energy into that emotion. And I'm not saying kind of like it's okay, but I don't have to like hang on to it and magnify it and make it be the worst possible thing in the entire universe. I can say, you know what, I'm not happy with that, but that I can let go. And I talk about contexts where letting go makes the most sense. Situations where, things that don't affect me really terribly, things that I really can't change. Self-confidence. So rather than just looking at self-esteem as a, thank you, Christina. I love how you mentioned that we have choices. Yes, we have choices in how we respond to situations, 100%. And that really is the essence, is giving the tools in order to be able to make those choices. And it really does come from practicing that deeper understanding of what is the truth, as opposed to what are those assumptions that, wait, I can let go of those. Those may not have all the truth. They may be, shades of gray. I'm going to ask a quick question because I have more that I want to share. I want to make sure that I leave you, TomoClub, enough time for what you want to do. So I'm just doing a time check. Are we okay? Okay. Okay, super. Thank you. I so appreciate that. Okay, so self-esteem. I broke that apart to pieces of assumptions and beliefs that can help. One is self-acceptance. I can't accept myself unless I am A, B, C, D, E, a list of all these things. Okay, and certainly with young people, but all of us, we're very influenced by what, by commercials and magazines and what the media says and what I have to look like and what I have to be like. And I talk about the things that we have choices about, and the things that we don't. There are many things I'm born looking a certain way. Yeah, unless I'm paying millions of dollars in plastic surgery and everything, because when I say we don't have a choice, he goes, yeah, we can. I can change that. I'm like, yeah, but really, are you gonna? So I talk about the fact that would you like to be in a job or in a classroom where you were judged on things that you had no choice about whatsoever? So I talk about how can I accept myself for the important things that I do have control over. And I talk about what are your superhero qualities? Kindness, patience. Oh, I love you, Christina. Oh, thank you. Yes, it's the purple hair. It, I'm fighting. I'm fighting aging with purple. It's amazing. Thank you so much. Um, so and then fair self measurement. I have to be perfect. Mistakes were awful. I've done a series of not cheers, but yeah, basically like cheers of mistakes don't burn. It's how we learn. Kids came up with that and came up with a cheer for so ways to make mistakes okay. Changing that to all I can do is the best I can do with relationships. The idea that I always have to be in charge or I have to go along with, and it's there's enough energy and enough goodies to go around in the world that we can afford to compromise, and that I win when we both win, we win more than when we win alone. And working with those beliefs. Now, I also have multiple tools and techniques. I will mention some of them. I will do them very, very quickly, but I will tell you this at the end as well. I absolutely am open to, wow, I have these kids, these issues. What can I do with that? I would love to just remain connected to do those things, but I'll kind of give you some general things. I do everything from trainings with teachers to one-on-one, to groups with kids and that kind of thing. So these reflect kind of all of that. What we talked about before is mostly about conversations. These are more specific tools. So when I have the bandwidth and time and the opportunities, I will teach kids directly, or I'll teach teachers to teach kids, I've been working lately with librarians. Just FYI, librarians are a whole source of professionals who are now interested and excited about the social emotional learning process and don't have a whole lot of support. So at some point we can discuss that as well. But so I teach the whole idea of what I'm sharing with you. So I do a choice walk. So I ask a person to walk from one side of the room to the other, and everybody else is observing. And I say, watch closely to catch as many details as you can. Person crosses. I said, okay, so how fast do they walk? Oh, slowly. Or they describe it. And I said, you didn't plant any of these things before then, did you? No. Okay, so demonstrating that the choices just happen. Teaching assumptions. So I do a thing where I use I have somebody bump into me and I go off on them. It's like, who do you think you are? You're some kind of big shot messing with me. And kids are like, oh, I see that all the time. I said, but you know what? What was I assuming? And you were feeling mad. I'm like, no, it's not the feeling. What was I believing that led to my feeling upset? And they said, okay, oh, you assumed that they did it on purpose. What other possibilities are there? Maybe it happened by accident. Oh yeah, do you think the end would change? Because at the end we start arguing and the teacher comes in and gets upset with us. Do you think it would change? So I say, okay, I want you to be my pauser. Okay, so when I come to the point where I'm about to bump, I want you to say pause. And I want you to fill my head with other possible beliefs. It may have happened by accident. I wasn't looking. And then say play. And then, oh, sorry. And then it ends differently. I said, thank you for ending the scene differently. So I teach them techniques like yoga breathing. I'm sure, Christina and Katie, I'm sure you've all done some variation of that. But I use a slow breath in on a count of 4, and out on a count of 4. So that between the incident, whatever scenario I'm doing, I do this with multiple role plays, and I'm always this at first. The myself and whatever teacher I'm working with, we are doing the scenario. So I have them pause, and so the teacher says, okay, we're having a test in a few minutes, and then you hear me saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to fail. No, I can't do that. No, please. And they pause me and they say, breathe. They say, pause, breathe, and they say, think. And then they fill me with what I should think, and then we do the scene. There are also multiple tools that I could, again, share with you. I'd love to be able to open my entire bag of tools and say, here, take them. And I'm talking faster and faster. I want to make sure TomoClub has time. But there are all kinds of activities and constructs to reinforce exactly what we're talking about. So I use, for example, in order to let go, I use a balloon. So what is one thing that you could let go of? And if we can physically do it, or we can imagine putting it in a balloon, blow on it, see whatever it is that you're letting go of through the ceiling, through the roof, and it disappears. I talk about choices about, gratitude versus wanting things that versus not being happy because you don't have what you want. Filling up a glass, talking about glass half full and filling up a glass with all your positive things. iMessages, different kinds of ways to communicate. When you do this, I feel this way, I would like this. And I do a non-dominant hand picture so that, there's no way that you can do this right. So it's about the process and about enjoying it and being okay with making mistakes. And then there are constructs in a classroom that you can, or in a group that you can use, like a calming chair, a calming area, effort. Thank you so much, Christina. I'd love to give you even more celebrations of effort. Like so much of the time we focus on all the things that we don't, only the kids that are getting the best grades, get celebrated. But how can I celebrate and chart even my own progress and pat myself on the back for growing? And then like a work it out chair. Giving them the tools, iMessages, negotiation, those kind of tools. I'm not trying to pitch my book, but I have one that has tools. I have a website. I'm not sure if you're okay if I post my website in the chat, because on there's a blog. I would love for you to connect with me, to ask questions. I'd love to address your specific needs. And be able to apply specifically what we're talking about to what it is that you do. So yes, Mr. Matt.
Chelsea, do you mind if I ask a question
Not
before we do the
Go ahead.
gameplay?
Go ahead.
Thank you everyone for sharing. And Katie, Christina, our team experienced a technical meltdown last night when we were playing a game. They responded as blissfully as your team did. And the strategies that you guys gave me for mindfulness, I took to the conference that we were at in Austin, and really decided to show up and be in the moment, and like, instead of trying to be transactional with the school leaders I was with, everything that you guys shared totally helped. Adina, thank you so much for sharing with us, because I have 2 teenage daughters. And I'm just going to scroll up just for a second, just to remind myself. They're 13 and 14. I'm actually driving home for one of their birthdays tomorrow. That's why I'm under the car. But awfulizing, catastrophizing, crystal balling, generalizing, these are all something that every single one of us was like, yeah, dude, that's literally me sometimes, right? But our prefrontal cortexes are actually formed. Like my wife is, I often ask my wife, why does it seem like there's tigers and bears chasing our daughters all the time over someone else taking a shower? And she's like, it's prefrontal cortex. But awfulizing, crystal balling, generalizing, this is the world that I live in. And one of the things that I've found is to act like the tiger doesn't exist, to invalidate their feeling, doesn't help. To tell them, hey, don't generalize. Hey, you can't see into the future. Oh, this isn't as bad as you think. It's like, that's like the worst possible thing that you could say. And so thank you for sharing, because it really helps all of us grow in our emotional intelligence, because we know we need it, and we really want to be able to pass it on to the generations that are coming after us. And that's what's been so amazing about the scale to learning that we've been able to see in the life skills and the kids that are playing our games and are playing together. And what I wanted to ask you was, how have you seen SEL help children with diverse experiences?
That's a really good question. I'm very lucky in that I've worked with a big span of ages and spaces and contexts. And I think there are different needs, different amounts of time that needs to be spent in certain places with certain kinds of kids. Sometimes it's just like I remember in one of the libraries that I work in, these kids were constantly, getting at each other, like fighting on the bus, and had all this like, energy to burn. And we had all this, we were like, had all this stuff planned. And I went, whoa, wait a second, like there's something really, so stop. Okay, so draw what's going on right now. Then I'd like to kind of pull you guys out and let's talk about what happened. And let me give you, are you okay if I help you do that? Like, I know you're mad and you can keep the mad, but let's talk about, let's talk about ways to, other ways, so you're not constantly, like Adam, there are other choices. Like in that moment, it's like, I'm not, it's really, it becomes about, depending on their age, like you're talking about cortex, its ability to understand, its level of emotionality, its situations at home. I worked in an inner city school where the kids were saying, it's so hard for me to make different choices when my parents are doing these things. And we really had to address and deal with that. Absolutely. Or the same school, they said, it's like, we're making better choices. They're still going to think of us as those bad kids. So something happened in class, and other classes were talking, and they weren't. They were being phenomenal. And this poor kid I'll never forget, looks up at me and went, see. So there's different, so it's really addressing those things as they come up, as is appropriate for the kids that you're working with. But just a quick age-related thing, it's amazing how young, when you break it apart, and I've really worked at being able to break this apart, like I could have done the entire thing that I did in 5 minutes, far less information, but because I sometimes only have 5 minutes. But when you break it apart, in like a second grader, I was walking down the hall in one of the schools that I was working with, and she looked at me and went, Adina, what are you believing right now that's making you feel so sad? Out of the mouths of babes. So, so really, it's amazing when you break it apart and give it in a way that is not, don't do this, but is it possible? And I know that you believe, and, honoring where they're coming from, but kind of, there's a thing in improvisation called yes and. It's like agreeing with where they are, but then adding to it and giving them options from within that. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
All right. I think that was extremely helpful for all of us. I think we've come from different spaces in terms of our own experiences. And I think as much as you've told us about how this is applicable for kids, I'm pretty sure it's applicable for all of us here as adults, right? Because these are distortions that we're just using on an everyday basis, right? Like that's how we're dealing with things around us, just with a lot of negative thinking, right? Just to get ourselves to complete something, because we've started placing our worth, as you mentioned earlier, right? Where we had to raise our hands in terms of how we need to be perfect, some of us, to feel fulfilled, right? So I think a lot of that can manifest from all the negative thinking that we do, with all these distortions that keep telling us that everything is this way, or it's not that small, it's the biggest problem or the worst thing that you're ever going to experience. So thank you so much for sharing it in such great detail, Adina. I did get a request for switching on the captions. Unfortunately, I'm unable to do it. Avinash, would you be able to give it a try, please? Thank you. All right. So what we're going to be doing now, and it'll be thanks, Avinash. So what we're going to be doing now is that we're going to be playing a short 8-minute round of one of our games. Right? So the objective of this game is to first collaborate with your teammates. Second, communicate effectively, because at the end of this game, you need to get out of this facility that you're going to be a part of right now together. Right? And what you're also going to be doing is that you're going to be using a very important problem solving skill, which we will discuss after you play the game. Right. So the first session or the first round, usually in a TomoClub game session, what we have is 3 rounds of gameplay. So the first round is usually for them for the students to just explore what the game is all about, right? And how well they work with their teams. The second round would be more in depth with respect to the strategies that they can use to get better at the game. And the third round is where they use all the information that has been provided to them. And of course, get better and practice these skills as they have been told. So we'll deep dive into the game right away. So I'm going to share a link in the chat box right now. Yeah. All right.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. So just click on the link.
So,
Go ahead.
sorry, guys who all are on a laptop, on an
Yeah.
iPad, if you all work on a phone. Okay, so Alok is there, Adina is there. Christina or Katie, are you guys on a laptop or an iPad? Or you're using a phone to join us?
I'm on a laptop.
Perfect. So 3 to 3. What about you, Katie? Oh, perfect. So I'm gonna host a game for 4 of you, and I'll make 2 arenas. How about you, Chelsea? You wanna play as well?
I think I'll be the observer. I'll join as a spectator.
Perfect. So I'll just add 2 spectators.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I'll add 4 players. Perfect. So 2 arenas.
Yes.
So guys, when you click the link, there is an option that will come up to put up your name. Just put your name so that we can use that during the game session. And when you do that, there will be 2 options. First option will be to select a region. Please select US East as the region, because most of us are on the East Coast right now. And the game should be as a player. When you toggle it, I use the same link to host the game as well. So yeah, just select US East and as a player. So I have got
Adina.
2 arenas. Perfect. So the room number is 778. Just give me a thumbs up of people who are on the screen where you can put the room number. Okay, Alok is here. I'm gonna put him in arena 1.
I think
I'm
that's
sorry, but I can't figure out even how to get in. That's how technologically bad I am.
No, me too. So
So I'll just like listen to you because
yeah,
No,
my brain
I would
is
want
like,
you guys to play. I would love you guys to play. So don't worry, it's gonna be very simple.
yeah. I'll just
So
walk you all through really quickly. Yes, I'm just sharing my
thank you.
screen.
thank you.
Right. So the first thing that you're going to do is click on Run Game. So let's do it simultaneously. I think that'll be helpful.
Okay.
Click on Run Game. And then let me know you're done with it by giving me a thumbs up. I think that should be enough.
Well, I'm viewing your screen. I don't have my screen, so I can't really do much of anything.
All right. So I'll just tell you really quickly. So first you click on Run Game. Then you put in your name and click Confirm. And then to select the region, you're going to use the arrows and select US East. And select the build as player. And just click connect. And after that, click join. That's it. Right? And you will be sitting in the room ID given by Avinash.
778.
Yeah. Now, try it now.
Let's try it. Okay, Run Game.
Yes. How about you, Christine and Katie? Are you on the screen? The link is in the chat box. You guys are- 'Cause- 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 'cause-
I think I'm in, but I'm not sure.
Can you share your screen maybe? I can help you out with
Let
that.
me see.
And about you, Katie? Okay, I see Katie here. Perfect.
I should be, I think I just got in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I put you in the same team with Alok. Perfect. I'm waiting for Adina and Christina.
Okay, so do I then press join?
Yes.
Okay, room ID is what?
Your room ID is 778. Did you make sure that you use? Oh, I see Adina here. Perfect. So I put out Adina in A2 and Christina. Waiting for you.
Of course, you're waiting for me. I thought I was in. What do I need to do now?
What can you see on your screen?
Says connect to game server. Hold on.
Okay. Do you see an option join on top of it?
Oh wait, now it says connected to game. Joined lobby.
Join lobby.
I have no
Okay.
idea. I mean, should I
No,
just
it's
watch
totally
you guys?
fine,
I don't
totally
want to hold you up.
No, I think it will be very quick. Just share me a screen. I would love you to play. I think that's the fun part.
Okay. Let's
Yeah, I'm
see.
an assistant educator. I really don't get my kids. Oh, perfect. Just hit join.
Just join.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
Put
778. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Oh,
All right. So then I
I
should.
guess. No, hold on. I guess you didn't choose US keys. So can you just um, click on
think-
the?
I don't know what to do. I don't want to hold you guys up. I'm sorry.
No. You are here only. Just click on the settings, the button on the top right. You're just there, right? So on the yes, click here. No, click on
Okay.
the Chelsea. Can you help her out once?
I'm
Yes.
so sorry.
No, I think you just
That's
joined
totally fine.
spectator.
Yeah,
You will be, yeah, so you'll be able to view the game right now. Right?
Okay. So
So,
should I put Adina in A1?
yeah,
What's
I
that?
think let's put Katie, Adina, and Alok in the same room. All right.
Perfect.
In?
So
You'll be able to view.
yes. So yeah. So Alok, Adi, and Adina. So basically, you guys will see a very small area of perspective. You can't see the entire map. So you also have to coordinate among each other and have to together pass on to the next level. So you have to exit this facility, which is under evacuation. And while Christina and all of us can spectate of what you guys are doing. So the floor is all yours and just explore the map.
Could you please stop sharing the screen, Christina? I think just so that.
Do I?
Yeah.
Sorry, do I click on myself and try to move myself? Like I'm not sure what.
Yes.
Your arrow keys.
Yeah, use arrow keys. Yeah, I can see Adina moving. Katie, can you also move around? Okay, you have to talk among each other about how you're going to get out of this level. Katie, are you here? Yes, Katie's also here. Perfect. I think Alok identified the exit gate, but he has to identify to get his friends also here. Oh yeah,
Sure what,
that's
all.
good.
I'm not sure what locked means, if we can unlock it.
Yeah. So that's the whole point, that what we want through this game is you guys to talk. That's one of the main agenda of TomoClub as a social
Gotcha.
learning part.
Okay, so the other.
So we still got Adina and Alok in the game. I think Katie dropped off, but that doesn't matter. You guys can still help out each other to get out of it.
Any suggestions? Because I'm clueless.
How about you talk to each other, Alok and Adina? Okay, I'll just give you one suggestion. There is a zoom out. There's a zoom out option. If we zoom out, we can see each other.
See, I think I went the other way. Hold on a second. Uh-oh. How do I get back? I zoomed in instead of zooming out. And I can't get back.
Is there a way to kind of overcome the lock, or like, because every time I'm going there, I'm getting stuck to when I'm trying to find the partner. It's like, what do we do with this lock and space stuff?
You got keys. There's an option to unlock a key and open the door.
Okay.
Avinash, is there a way to zoom out? Because I can't. I zoomed in. I can't. I'm very tiny now, and I can't see anything.
Move your arrow buttons.
Okay, I'm alone. I'm alone now, my friends. So.
Yeah, I saw. I think Alok also dropped out.
Oh well.
Happened by mistake. Quick back.
Oh, there we go.
And it's okay. Aro, can you join back in? Yeah. I'm gonna put you in lobby again. Yeah. The room is still active. Okay, I got both Adina and Alok here.
Avinash, if you can just wait for a second, I'll also join. I'll play with them. 3 would be fine.
Yeah. Perfect. It's 778.
Yeah, I'll just join back. No, I was at a spec. I'll join back as a play.
So that's the how it works, Alok. Basically, the game can have multiple spectators, and the game can have players. So if you look at my interface, it's super easy for any educator to do it, and it can be done online and offline too. But the idea is that the team has to talk and be competitive. So yeah, let me know when Sai joins in. So this time I'm gonna put Sai as not as a spectator, but as a player.
I'm in Avinash.
Yeah. Sai, your ping is really bad. So
yeah, I know. Hopefully I won't drop off. Yeah. I can manage this.
Perfect. Let's go again.
I'm trying to get back in.
Yeah. Alok, just go pick that up. Oh, awesome. Thanks. Nice. Okay. Guys, Adina, like there is one key on the top. You can pick it up. It's on your left, top left.
I'm sorry. Say again. I'm not in yet. I'm actually trying to get back in. This is game closed.
I can see
can anyone take the key and like use with the team, or like on one person get to take only one key?
Oh, there I am. Okay.
Alok, so the key goes into the team's collection, right? So like we have 33 keys. It's on the right side. If you pick, like we already have some extra keys to play with. Just go pick it up and come back. We have to go to the right side of the screen.
Okay.
Yeah. Adina, can you move?
I can. I think. Wait. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Nice. Just come near Alok. Like I'll open this. Move pass through it. Yeah. Just go. Awesome. Yeah, Alok, on the way you can pick up. There is one more key on the top, right? Just pick it up and we'll just go.
Okay.
Yeah, quick guy. I mean, we are just short on time, so let's do it fast.
We're piling up on each other.
Oh,
that's nice. Okay. Thank you for waiting for me, guys.
I really like Alok and Sai were waiting for Adina. Like they went back to get her. That was really nice.
Thank you for waiting. I could see that. I love the fact you guys finally coordinated to get out of one level. Yeah. Now level 2 is even more interesting. You wanna try that?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, I suggest just use the zoom key once. Let's look at the map where we are and like where your teammates are, where's the exit. Just zoom out and just see what we can do. We'll figure out on the go. Yeah. Okay. What I see is like there is like one bulb, I think, which we should collect and that might make our screens more visible. And there is like the exit is at the bottom of the map, bottom right. Okay, sure. I see Adina, I see Alok. Okay, Alok, I think that we are close to each other.
Yeah, I'm out of the game. My brain just went. my brain imploded, so I'm back on the meet, but I'm not in the game. Sorry, I abandoned you. Didn't intend to, but my mind.
So you know what? So what we have seen is kids get super involved in this, and that's one of the major factors that we usually use. is the engagement piece. In fact, a couple of schools that I'm working with, they're using TomoClub as a TomoClub Friday kind of a thing to increase attendance. So that has grown up. We have seen kids who were not very collaborative or who were, a little bit brash to each other. They have started to cooperate because they see that, okay, they didn't collaborate, the team lost.
Yeah.
So I think what happens is in this multiplayer games, the collaboration piece really come into picture. They get frustrated, just like you guys were. They were not able to figure out their path, and but still they help each other. So the entire idea behind the social emotional learning is that it has to be more active rather than being passive, and there's no left child behind. So basically, what happens is most of the products out there, they usually work for the brighter kids. And what we wanted, it should be work for everyone. The turn by turn system, the dependability on each other, that really increases the point that everyone has to work. So I think what we've done is, as per the state standards, we have made games on each of these skills. This is just one of the game in the early cohorts we use, but we have a library of games which we use for different age bracket, and it works amazingly well with the adults also, because at the end of the day, it depends who you're playing with. The conversation around the game, that makes it exciting, and not just the game itself. So that's our way to work on SDR.
Yeah. And just to add in, we would love to host sessions for even librarians, right? Because I think at the end of the day, we want adults to be using our sessions, right? To start off with them. And of course, then it is built for kids, but we've seen it working for adults as well.
I've got quick questions.
Go ahead.
Do you give information about like what a key looks like, or or is that part of the intention not to give the information, so that's part of what has to be figured out?
So when you start the game, there are a set of instructions on the screen, but since we're running out of time, I didn't walk through that. But yeah, both things actually work. We have seen none of the kids focus on the instructions. They just want to be thrown into
They want to get into it.
Yeah. But at the same time, we believe that we have seen different kind of people. Some people love the control, where they want to know the information beforehand. There's some other kids cohort who likes to just explore themselves. So we leave it honestly on the moderator, how they want to do it, or educator in some cases, to figure out the way that the cohort is going to be most benefited out of it.
Got it. The other question I had was, I would imagine reflecting back on what happened both for yourself and other people is helpful. For example, I felt very much like Christina did at first. I'm like, I want to give up. I can't do this. And I'm like, I'm going to, just awareness of, I'm going to find a way, I'm going to do it. Then so I started enjoying it. And then I was really touched by the fact that the gentleman waited for me, like, we're going this way. They didn't go through until they knew that I was there. Just, just those kinds of observations, I think would or a chance to reflect back would help, to cement the learning.
No, I totally agree. There is a big apprehension in order to get in for the adults. That is the funny part. When you talk about the kids, they have a lot of apprehensions to boring videos. But they have to play. So it's, I think, inbuilt in their fabric to play the games.
Yeah, but I'd like to add in terms of what you were also mentioning, Adina. I think we do have that in our sessions, right? Where the moderator, so the role of the moderator is crucial, right? So the games definitely act as the way to attain these skills. However, it's the moderator who's guiding them towards attaining these skills, right? So what you were just mentioning about, those were things that we did observe, but only due to the shortage of time, we did not point it out, right? Just now. But in our usual sessions, our moderators are trained well enough to, just point out all the observable things that are there, right? We don't say, oh, you did a good job. What's a good job, right? So our moderators are trained to understand and to communicate what their observation is. Right. So that's one. And right after they play these games, then we have a debriefing round. So it's like a 20-minute round where they're just discussing about what they did within the game and how they can apply it back to their real life. So for this particular game, we would talk about the zoomed out perspective in problem solving, right? About how you sometimes need to zoom out to see a bigger picture and then zoom back in to focus on what your task is.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And after each class, there's a follow-up piece that goes beyond that, because the parent or teacher gets a report that shows, based on what the moderator observed, what happened during the game session. So now you're able to have a conversation. There's also scaffolding for the parent or educators. They don't have to decode the gamified SEL that says, hey, what we were talking about today was opportunity cost. So maybe you want to have a conversation with your young adult about what they learned and ask them about resource management or whatever game, it kind of helps the educator, if they're not in the game session, or the parent know what learning took place, which is super cool.
Let me ask you a question. Would you be interested considering collaborating in some ways? So that, because I can see for myself, I'm working with a group, and I'm working in the ways that I am, but I can see your games being so helpful to take a piece of it to a different level. So is that a way potentially? And I don't need that answer right now. We can talk.
Totally. And let's let's definitely do that. Alok, go ahead. You have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, like, this game will be played in the school, or is something like a child is doing at a home?
So
either.
Both are work. So we have one charter school, which is an online charter school, which actually uses it online over a Zoom call. We have two schools, one in Bronx in New York, and a couple of others in California, who are using it in classroom. So since every kid has an iPad or a Chromebook, it works throughout all platforms, and the teacher was hosting it live in the classroom. And that was interesting because, let's say if you're creating 5 teams of, let's say 3 kids each, those 5 teams were sitting in different corners and collaborating well. And the educator was just moving around, having a conversation with them. So I think it was even more exciting offline than online.
And does it also kind of, let's say after playing the game, so one of my thing I'm trying to understand is, like, often happens like this because you're kind of engaging with the games, like because you're engaging with so much, there's so much fun that the major takeaway, which I think you're trying to build, is around social empowerment, developing self, or developing relationship, or communicating together. Is there a debriefing around that at the session or somewhere? Like, is there a
So what is the current pedagogy that we use is, we usually keep the game rounds for 7 to 10 minutes, and the moderator who's hosting the game, he or she has full controls to play, pause, stop the game, so that the kids don't end up still playing. And in an hour session, the educators do it one run round, and then they pause the game and they talk about that. Hey, what was the strategy? What were you thinking? What went wrong? What went right? What are you going to do for the next round? And then after that, friendly discussion of 10 to 15 minutes. Then they shoot for the round 2. And the round 2 becomes more exciting because now they have got the gist of it, and they are even implementing what they just talked about. So the round 2 becomes even more fun. And sometimes, if required, the educator do another round of discussion and round 3. So we actually leave it how the educator want to do it in the classroom. Like one of the educators, in fact, one of the educators is using these games to engage kids before the math class. So it's the applications what we are coming and hearing is very varied. Some have dedicated classes, some have on the go. But yeah, we would love that fact that how educator is discussing it. It makes sense.
And one more question, if it's fine.
Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that.
So, like, when you're having that conversation around, okay, the skills kind of we have developed in the classroom sector, in the same setting, and you were talking on Bronx, like the communities around, are there kind of questions which also talks about, okay, what we have learned and how we could probably apply it, like real life, and probably the challenge you might be facing? Basically, like, fine, I've developed a skill, but where do I apply it? Am I able to recognize like connective? So that's again question.
Yeah. So the lesson plan which Chelsea is showing up, it usually has 3 parts. One is the skills that this game teaches. Second is the prompts the educator can use during the game session. so that he or she can make it more interactive. The third part is relating the skills to real life. So there are some examples that come our way. So let's say if the game is about resource planning, then we bring a discussion about how do you manage your pocket money,
Yeah.
So that kind of real life discussion also can be brought up. Or if the game is about empathy, then they can talk about how do you manage with your siblings. So it depends on those kind of, we do give them some prompts around that as well, how they can connect the game learning outcomes to the real life situations.
Yeah, so I'm just going to, thank you, Avinash. I think Avinash has covered it really well. So I'm just going to show it to you really quickly. We've got the session objective. It's a very similar plan to any other session plan that you would create in a classroom or for a classroom. Right, so this is for for an hour-long session. So we've got the session objectives here, the steps to build the skills, and how we're going to be connecting it back to the real life. So yeah, this is something that you can see right now. Sometimes to reach our destination, you need to zoom out to see the bigger picture and to see the consequences of our decisions. We will sometimes need help to get out of tough situations. Sometimes it is wise to do that. Even leaders need help. Right? So these are these different points that we would give the moderator, and the moderator basically elaborates on these, moderator or the educator elaborates on these points. So to begin with, we have the energy connectors, which are basically icebreakers, where kids just, we're giving them an activity to do, they're just coming back, getting engaged, and then we come to the discussion zone, where we tell them about the game, give them a visualization of what is going to happen during the game, right? And then we also tell them about the instructions of the game. Then we get into the guided practice and reflections, where they play the first round. And in the first round, they're just trying to explore how well they work with their team, right? And also trying to explore what the game is all about. Then they go forward. Of course, we've got the questions, and we've got anchor questions that were mentioned right at the beginning of this session guidance. Then these are some questions that we do ask. What are some things that were working for you and your team? This is right after the first round of gameplay. Then where do you think you got stuck? And then we discuss some of the strategies that the different groups use. Right? And the fourth part is the collaborative gameplay, where they're getting directly into the game with their groups and playing the game without much intervention from the moderator. Right? And the last part, which is the debriefing, where we're summarizing the entire thing that they've done and what they've done in the game. We talk about concepts like, again, zoomed out perspective in this particular game, and how we can relate it back to our real lives. Right? So the ways to connect what they've done within the game back to their real life is done by the moderator. So we ask them for examples like, where do you think, has it ever happened that you've gotten stuck in a problem and you've not been able to get out of it? What did you do then? Right? So some of them would say, I took help. I realized that I couldn't go ahead, so I took help. Or some of them would say, I just had to move on. I didn't do anything about it. Right? So we debrief, and then we further break this down for the students to understand what their actions are and what the consequences of their actions can be, right, in order to take their decisions. And so, right, so we also talk about second order thinking as we're elaborating into different games. So these are just concepts that we give to our moderators, that the moderators can choose based upon the requirement of the class. So yeah. I'll stop sharing.
Asking it comprehensively.
Sorry, Alok, I didn't get you there. Sorry.
Thank you for answering it comprehensively, both of you, Avinash and Chatsi. Thank you.
Thank you, Alok. And we'd be happy and very, very open to hosting sessions for kids around you or even for adults around you. And I think it has been an eventful session today. And I'm taking a lot of it back and probably going to be applying it in the work that I do. So thank you, Adina, for your time and for your great insights. And I think they were absolutely applicable, not just for kids. And of course, we as educators do want to apply it for kids and help them regulate themselves, but also for ourselves, right? Because that's how modeling works, right? Till we don't do it, the kids are not going to do it. We panic, they panic. Yeah. So thank you once again. And before we close out, I would request Avinash to share the poll if it's possible, Avinash. And Matt wants to share a short video of a parent.
Yeah, I want to share with you guys my favorite Tomo parent raving fan. It's I watch this video myself a lot from time to time.
Get the poll, guys.
We can't. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, here we go, right here.
We can't hear it, Matt.
You can't hear it?
I cannot.
Hold on.
Yeah, not yet.
How about now?
Not yet. I think what we'll do, Matt, is that we'll share this with Alok and
People just email it.
yes, we'll email it to them.
Sorry.
No, not a problem. Technical glitches every time. That's okay. But thank you, Alok, and thank you, Adina. Would love to connect with both of you off this channel as well, and yeah, deep dive more into what SEL means to us as well.
Well, I would love that. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Have a great
Thank
day,
you for
everyone.
sharing.
Guys, bye bye. Take care.
Bye.
Have a good day.